Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Clara. So, I don't know. There's a lot of worrying things going on that I'm reading about in the UK at the moment, especially for trans rights, and so, and it can be difficult to sort of keep up, and keep happy and keep on top of things. And I want my channel to be a positive thing. So, what I'm going to do today is just talk about the TV shows that I've been watching over the last few months, things that make me happy. I watch TV for escapism, so I don't watch it for realism. I don't tend to watch anything that's realistic, for fantasy and cartoons and stuff like that. I live in the real world, so it's kind of nice to watch something a little bit, not real. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, and let's get into it, shall we? Yeah, I just wanted to talk about some TV shows that I've been watching, really. Like I say, I don't watch anything realistic. I mean, you can tell me however many times that The Sopranos or The Wire is amazing. It's set in the real world, and I need escapism. I don't have a TV license. I watch all of my stuff on sort of Netflix and Disney Plus. I only have Disney Plus for The Mandalorian. Let's be honest, I have it for the Star Wars programs. But actually, let's start there. So over Christmas, I rewatched seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. I just wanted to sort of rewatch it all, and rewatching it, season 2 is so much better than season 1. So season 1 I thought was okay, but it was only really the last episode where it started to shine, I think. And I don't know whether that was the lore and the introduction of the Darksaber at the end of the first season was like, oh. But I don't know what it was, but it felt okay. But season 2 blew me away. It was so much better, and watching them back to back really sort of highlighted that. I feel like everything came together. I feel like the programs were stronger, and the writing was stronger, the stories were stronger, and it introduced some of my favorite characters. It had I was going to say Sabine Wren's not been in it, but Bo-Katan and of course my favorite character Ahsoka, who I have a picture on the wall right there that you can't actually see. So yeah, I loved it. And season 2, if you watched season 1 and thought meh, watch season 2. It's really good, especially if you watch the Clone Wars and Rebels, but I don't think you need to have seen that. But if you've watched them, then it's got that extra little something. So yeah, I rewatched them. They were really good. What else did I watch? I watched The Legend of Korra. So Legend of Korra is a cartoon anime style. It's a follow-up to Avatar The Last Airbender. And I thought Korra was great. So, Legend of Korra, it's a little bit more, it feels a bit more grown up. Like Avatar, very sort of young, and it feels a little bit sort of more childish, and yet the stories are still enough to keep me engaged. But Korra just felt like the stakes were a little bit higher all the way along. It just felt that little bit more mature. But that doesn't, and I preferred it. It's difficult. I preferred it, I think, but I don't like the mix of kind of that sort of like industrial age stuff on top of my fantasy worlds. I kind of want them separate. So, they had cars and things like that, and that bothered me. I didn't like that. But there was so much about the show that I did like. Also, it felt kind of like they were going for, it's like, well, how big can we have the big bad at the end of this series? Okay, well, this is something Godzilla size. Well, how about we have something planet size for the next one? It just felt like they were trying to bring in bigger and bigger things, and that meant that they had to increase the powers of Korra in different ways. I really like the show, but I feel like it felt less consistent than Avatar The Last Airbender. And even though I think I preferred the episodes from Korra that I liked them more than, all of the ones in Avatar. But I think as a series, as a show, I preferred Avatar, maybe. I don't know. I have complicated feelings about it, but it was good. It was really good. And Korra is awesome. But yeah, I don't know. So what else? What else have I seen? So I watched this show on on Netflix. On Netflix called what was it called? I'm struggling to remember. So I'm gonna look it up as we go along. Yeah, because I'm really good at sort of doing two things at once. Okay. So it was called Alice in Borderland. So this is live action, and it's a Japanese show. And some of you might be saying that's real world, but it's not. It's a fantasy show. It's it is. It's set in a sci-fi alternate reality type thing. So I'm a big fan of. There's a film called Battle Royale, a Japanese classic film called Battle Royale, where people end up in a situation where they have to fight for their lives, basically, people who don't necessarily want to. There was something else that it reminded me of, a TV show, but I can't lay my finger on it right now. But yeah, so basically you've got this group of people, and they end up in this sort of alternate-ish world, and they've got to sort of fight. They've got to do these challenges. They've got to take part in these tournaments, and they're basically fighting for their life. And so in some games they're in a team and they're trying to win as a team, and some of them will die. Sometimes there can be only one winner, and so they have to literally kill everybody else. It's awesome. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's dubbed. And it shouldn't be dubbed because the dubbing is awful. It should have subtitles. It would be so much more enjoyable if it had subtitles. It was really grating seeing the terrible dubbing. But the show and the concept and the premise was so intriguing, it kept me going. I know what the other thing was that it sort of reminded me of. The Cube, the film The Cube, where there's a whole bunch of strangers wake up in a cube and they have to try and escape. It was somewhere between sort of Battle Royale and The Cube, and so that's just, you say those two films and I'm like, yeah, of course. So it was really interesting. The dubbing was horrible, but I still watched it through and I thought it was really good. And it was just something, the acting was great, the scenarios that they were coming up with were great, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know, it was, it posed some interesting moral questions, I mean, it's like, if you're in a game and you've got to kill your friend, how do you go about that? And it's interesting that the characters sort of shift a little bit, and so... No, it's a really good show. If you can get over the terrible dubbing, then it's really worth watching, and I hope there's a second season. But like I say, I much prefer it if they did a subtitle version of it. It'd be so much better. So what else? There's another show, another cartoon called Hilda, which is also on Netflix. So Hilda is... I didn't watch it for the longest time. It's very much a kind of children's-esque drawn cartoony thing, and I'm sure it is meant to be a kid's show. I mean, it is, but it's a really, really charming fairy tale. It's really gorgeous. You've got these really cute sort of monsters and animals and stuff like that, and it's a really cute world. It's just beautiful, and it seems really light. But actually, I feel like in the second season, they were starting to explore some fairly grown-up concepts and sort of think about things and, look at that grey world of morality. These are the bad people, these are the good people, and actually maybe the bad people aren't the bad people, or maybe they're not as bad, maybe there's more to it. So it started to introduce some interesting concepts. It really upset me that Hilda started to sort of rebel against her mother because they've got this beautiful bond, and I found that difficult to watch, but... at the same time, it made sense, and so it's a lot deeper than it might look. Like I say, it's this beautiful kind of fairy tale. It's sort of, I think it's Canadian, but it sort of feels like, to me, it feels like a cross of Scandinavian fairy tales if they were done by Studio Ghibli. So it's kind of got that glorious, gorgeous feel to it. And I don't know if you like sort of Studio Ghibli and you like the idea of a sort of Scandinavian feeling version. Like I say, I think it's Canadian, but that's what stuck out in my head. That's how I sort of see it. So yeah, it's worth a watch. It's really beautiful, and I'm curious. I would like to sort of show it to my niece as well, because I'm curious what she'd think of it. But anyway, yeah. So that's another thing. I'm gonna stick with cartoons. I think I'm gonna stick with cartoons. So another one that I watched the third season of Agretsuko, which again is on Netflix. Agretsuko is this kind of this little bear or fox or whatever she is. It's a cartoon, and she's got this super it's sort of Hello Kitty type animation, looks and styles, cutesy animals, and it's this office worker, and she does everything by the rules, and then at night she goes and sings heavy metal. And it's proper screamo heavy metal. It's great. It's really silly, but again, it discusses things. It's a little bit, there's more to it. There's more looking at the morality of things, and I don't think it's particularly deep, but it's not what it appears on the surface. It's not a sort of Hello Kitty, everything's cute cartoon. It's got something a little bit more to it, and I've watched every season when they've come out. I just really enjoy it. And another show, again another Netflix show that I watched that had its third season was Disenchantment. So Disenchantment is Matt Groening, right? The Simpsons and Futurama person. So Simpsons was great at its time, but it's dated, and I haven't seen a new episode of The Simpsons for I don't know how many years. Futurama didn't outstay its welcome, and Futurama felt a lot fresher, and just sort of I enjoyed it a lot more than The Simpsons. I think helps that it didn't have as many really terrible racial stereotypes in it, but as many, not completely missing. But yeah, it just felt better. So I was excited when I first saw Disenchantment come out, a new series by the same creators, but it didn't land. Like the first season for me was, I just found it boring. I didn't really like the characters. I didn't really care about the story. It was just like, meh. I watched it and I was like, but then the second season came out, and it happened to come out on a slow time. I think I was ill, and I just wanted something easy to watch, so I ended up watching the second season. I'd not watched it, and actually the second season was a lot better. You get to know the characters more. I got more into it. There was the same sort of comedy as with the other shows, but it just felt better. It was just nicely done. I mean, the animation's gorgeous, the 3D animation and stuff. It looks beautiful. But I just didn't really like the story too much. And so I was really pleased that there was more of the feeling that I got from Futurama, worrying about the characters, thinking about the characters, and because I like flawed characters that have a heart, And so I think the second season rescued it, definitely for me, because the first season just fell flat. And so the third season, again, I thought was really fun. The humor was good. I had the same sort of care for the characters-ish, whatever. I don't know, they're flawed characters. Maybe I shouldn't like them, but I do. And so, again, it's really simple, easy watching. Like, it's not a complicated show, but it made me laugh. So there you go. And I guess the final show that I'm going to talk about is another Disney one. So I said that I basically bought... I've got Disney Plus for the Star Wars shows. I mean, it's as simple as that. I do. There was the Clone Wars and then the Mandalorian. But I also... but I'm curious to see what the Marvel shows do. So I like the Marvel movies. They're okay. I don't love them like everybody else does. I don't know. There's some that I prefer to others. I don't know. They're not... And you're talking someone that, used to have a pull list in comic shops where I'd be picking up like 15 Marvel titles a month for years. I was big ol' avid reader of Marvel comics for a long time, and it's just not something that I'm really fussed about anymore. And the films have been up and down, so I was curious to see what they did with the TV shows. And so the first offering is WandaVision, which is Scarlet Witch and the Vision. And I thought it looked kind of interesting, this concept that, this alternate... So I realised that there's stuff from the stories and we don't know what's coming over from the comics and what isn't. But basically, with the trailers, it looked like Wanda was in this own sort of bubble of alternate reality, and all the adverts were sort of had images of the 60s, 70s, 80s. Looked like it was very different, very unique take, not what I expected from a Marvel show. But I got to admit, I watched the first 3 episodes and I was bored. I was bored. So, the first 2 episodes are all sort of 1950s, 1960s, I Love Lucy, Bewitched kind of show. And, I don't watch I Love Lucy. I don't watch Bewitched. So why would I want my Marvel show to emulate that? And then the 3rd episode was a 70s sitcom. And again, I just don't watch them. I just have no interest. They had a time and a place, but I don't want to watch them. It's a great concept, and it's a parody, but a parody shouldn't be an episode long. So for those first 3 episodes, if that had been one longer episode, no problem. But I just wanted to get on with it. I am not watching backlogs of I Love Lucy or, Bewitched. I'm not, because that's not entertaining to me. So why would I want to watch a show basically doing a full episode of that? Now, I know that there's more stuff going on, and actually I did watch the 4th episode, and the 4th episode was a solid episode. It brought things together and stuff like that, and it felt more like what I wanted to watch. I wish that those first 3 episodes hadn't been 3 episodes. I wish it had been 1 episode, 1 longer episode, but not 3. I found it tedious. So we'll see. It's not going to be the longest series. They're usually fairly short series on Disney Plus from what we've seen so far. So we'll see. There's there's good intrigue. It could be really interesting. But right now, I want more like episode 4 and none of episode 1, 2, and 3. I'm done with that. And I know there's going to be at least an 80s sitcom thing, because we saw the costumes in the trailers, but yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so it could be good, might not be. We'll see. And with that, that's pretty much what I've been watching in terms of TV shows. I don't watch loads of TV, and then I tend to binge and watch an entire show and then watch nothing for ages. So it's a couple of months worth of viewing there for you. As you can see, I like my sci-fi and my fantasy and my cartoons, basically. So, yeah, but that's what I've been watching. They were fun. And I'm going to say goodbye now. So, until next time, bye.